Hello everyone, my name is Suman Dua and I'm a registered migration agent at Nationwide Migration and Education. In this video today, we will be explaining the nomination criteria from Western Australia. Now, before we look at the nomination criteria for Western Australia, the applicants will need to meet the minimum requirements that are set by the Department of Home Affairs. So these requirements are that you need to be under 45 years of age, you need to have competent English, you need to have positive skills assessment in your nominated occupation, and you need to have a minimum of 65 points, including state points. Now, Western Australia has recently announced that commencing in the 2022-23 program year, people residing overseas will be eligible to be considered for Western Australia state nomination. Invitations to apply for WA state nomination will be via the ranking system, giving preference to applicants currently residing in WA, followed by those residing in Australia, and then those residing overseas. The 2022-23 program year will also provide candidates the opportunity to access an expanded, more extensive graduate occupation list under the graduate stream, with over 300 occupations becoming available. The expanded graduate occupation list will become available in 2022-23 and is outlined in the new 2022-23 WA State Nomination Combined Occupation List, an easy-to-follow table of the occupations available under the WA Skilled Migration Occupation List, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, and the Graduate Occupation List. Now, expression of interest will be prioritized as follows. Candidates residing in Western Australia will be given the first priority. Candidates residing in the rest of Australia will be given second priority, and candidates residing outside of Australia will be given third priority. Now, Western Australia has two streams, the general stream and the graduate stream. The general stream has further two occupation lists, and each occupation list has a different nomination criteria. The General Stream Western Australian Skilled Migration Occupation List, also known as WASMOL, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Now let's look at the Schedule 1 of the General Stream. To be considered for an invitation to apply for the state nomination General Stream, candidates must have an occupation listed as available and eligible for the intended visa subclass on the WASMOL Schedule 1. And they need to be able to claim and give evidence of the work experience in the expression of interest. Now, this requirement can be met through at least 1 year of Australian work experience in the nominated or closely related occupation over the last 10 years, or at least 3 years of overseas work experience in the nominated or closely related occupation over the last 10 years, and have a contract of employment for full-time employment for at least 12 months in the nominated or closely related occupation in Western Australia. If an invitation is issued, the applicant has 28 days in which to lodge an application for state nomination. Now let's look at WASMOL Schedule 2. Now, to be considered for an invitation to apply for the state nomination General Stream under Schedule 2 occupation list, candidates must have an occupation listed as available and eligible for the intended visa subclass on the WASMOL Schedule 2. They need to have a contract of employment for full-time employment for at least 12 months in the nominated or closely related occupation in Western Australia. If an invitation is issued, the applicant has 28 days in which to lodge an application for state nomination. Now let's look at the requirements for the graduate stream. To be considered for the graduate stream, the candidates must have an occupation listed as available and eligible for the intended visa subclass on the graduate occupation list, also known as GOL. And they need to have gained a Certificate 3 or higher qualification in Western Australia, including a requirement to have completed at least 2 years of full-time study in Western Australia at a Western Australian university, higher education provider, TAFE, registered training provider, or English language provider. They will also need to demonstrate that at least 6 months of paid Australian work experience in the nominated or closely related occupation over the past 5 years, and applicants must enter work experience in their Skill Select Expression of Interest or a contract of employment for full-time employment in Western Australia for at least 6 months in the nominated or closely related occupation. Now let's look at some of the common criteria for all streams. Now, all applicants applying for Western Australia's nomination need to meet their minimum English requirements. Candidates nominating an occupation in ANSCO skill level 1 or 2 will need to have proficient English. And candidates who hold a passport from the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland, the United States, Canada and New Zealand are considered to have met the minimum English language requirements and are exempt from undertaking an English proficiency test. There is also an additional requirement for applicants living outside Western Australia, in another Australian state or territory, or in another country. They will need to provide evidence showing sufficient funds to cover the settlement costs and living costs for at least 3 months. Candidates nominating for occupations that are designated Regional Western Australia only in the general or graduate stream must provide evidence of a job offer, contract of employment in a location defined by Commonwealth as regional centres and other regional areas. This includes the following areas by postcodes: 6041 to 6044, 6084, 6207, 6213, 6215 to 6537, 6560 to 6770. So if you're someone who is looking at applying for Western Australia's state nomination, please get in touch with us. Stay updated about Australia's immigration. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel.